everybody! We're back again to do another game called Spider-Man 2. Okay. Sure. Alright. So, given how successful the first movie was, and how successful the first movie game was, because it actually did sell very well.
It did. It got a player's choice on the GameCube.
I think it sold more than Enter Electro, I think.
I mean, I can imagine why. It was the first Spider-Man game on the new consoles.
So, they were, of course, doing the sequel to the movie, which was another huge financial success. And I think it was critically acclaimed, too, the second movie was. But
yeah,
that's a video for another day. The game, of course, got a tie-in. And a complete overhaul was this game.
Oh, man. I remember the pre-release hype for this game.
I don't, actually, because I didn't really follow it.
It's weird because I had played the first game on the PC. I never played Enter Electro, but I played the first Raimi movie game. It was one of the first games I got from my GameCube. I talked about that in the last video. And it was always one of my biggest complaints about that game, because it made sense with the 2000 game that you couldn't go to the floor because, console limitations and everything. Even though that fog made no sense in terms of the plot, because there was no reason for it being there.
It is an excuse for you not to go on the ground. That's literally all it was.
What was an excuse for them to not render the ground?
Kryptonite fog!
Yeah, kryptonite, exactly. But in the first Raimi movie game, it was always where you could see the floor, but you could never go there. He just died when you fell under a certain height, and it never made sense to me. And
a big issue with that game, too, was at least in the first game, he'd have to be a certain distance from a building to swing.
Yeah.
And the Raimi one, he can just swing in the air like he's flying.
Yeah. The swing is a flight in that game.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember I heard about the game getting announced, and because I don't think G4 was around at the time, or was it?
I may have been just starting.
So I don't think I had it in my cable at that time. So I heard that it got announced, so I was just assuming it was going to be like, the last Raimi movie game.
And to stop you there, the PSP version is.
Yes, the PSP version is, and I've actually watched a whole playthrough of that game, and it actually looks kind of cool.
I haven't played it myself.
It literally has the same menus and everything. It's bizarre. Looking at it, though.
Or that was like a pre-alpha before they decided to completely overhaul the game.
I don't know. But my friend Cameron brought a magazine, I think it was GamePro, I can't remember, that had this whole huge article about the game, and I was reading it during one of our breaks in the middle of school one day, and I was reading over everything that said it was an open world, you can actually go to the ground, the entirety of Manhattan is explorable, and dude, I was like, what day does this come out?
How they say that, it actually is the second smallest map of any open world Spider-Man game.
Yeah, but at the time.
Yeah.
But when my summer vacation started, and 2 weeks later it came out.
Oh, that's perfect.
You knew what I was doing that whole summer break.
I have a very different story with this game. It never hit my radar until last year.
Yeah, that was baffling when you were telling me that story, that you never played this game.
So, I asked for it for Christmas, 2004, 2005, multiple times. Never got it. And every time I had money, I was like, oh, a new Transformers out. Oh, another game I want more. I'll get that. So this just never hit my radar. And then I found a video game store for like $5. I was like, I should probably play that. And that was last year.
That's still baffling to me.
So I didn't play that game until 18 years after it released.
Man, because this game was ingrained in my middle school life.
It's not that I wasn't a Spider-Man fan. I was a big Spider-Man fan. I've always been a big Spider-Man fan. For some reason, I just never got this game. I did get Ultimate Spider-Man. We'll talk about that next time.
Yeah.
So, like the first movie game, this more or less sort of follows the plot of the movie, but not really, but kind of.
Yeah, but I do like
It does a better job
yeah.
than the first one did. In all fairness,
it does a better job because it actually incorporates some Peter Parker stuff into it. Like Harry and MJ play roles in the plot. Thank goodness.
And they're actually scenes from the movie almost recreated perfectly. So it does do a better job of that. Like Doc Ock becomes Doc Ock when he's supposed to become Doc Ock.
Yeah. And I do like that there were some story threads carrying over from the first game, like Shocker still hates you.
Yeah, this is actually more of a sequel to the game than it is to the movie, which is good. But then they also throw Black Cat in there. Okay.
Role in the game was okay.
Rhino's in there because there's these dudes with mechs in there.
Oh,
because
yeah, those guys are fun.
I'm trying to remember all the villains. Shocker, Rhino, Mysterio, which is hilarious.
Dude, the Mysterio missions are so out there.
The Mysterio fight is my favorite boss fight in any video game ever.
Oh, the one we get him chase him to a convenience store and he has like 3 health bars and you punch him once.
Punch him once and it's over.
No, you know what's funny about that fight too is if you don't hit him but you use like the web rodeo stuff, you can actually ragdoll him around the convenience store and he just taunts you while he's laying on the ground bent in the shape of an L.
That's incredible.
It's hilarious.
But basically the plot's the same. They throw the Harry Osborn hating Pete Spider-Man in your face a lot more in your face than the movie does. Because to be 100% honest with you, the movie has a better script than the game does. The dialogue in the movie is much better than the game.
Mm-hmm.
And the acting in the movie is much better than the acting in the game, except for maybe Alfred Molina. I think Alfred Molina does a pretty good job.
Yeah. But you want funny little tidbit about Harry, seeing how you brought him up. James Franco isn't voicing him in this game. You want to know who he is?
It's Josh Keaton.
Josh Keaton, the man who voiced Spider-Man in Spectacular.
One of the best Spider-Man voice actors out there.
Oh, yeah. I just find that hilarious in hindsight.
Troy Baker, who voiced Joker in Arkham Origins, voices Batman in the Telltale game.
Well, that's awkward.
Isn't it, though?
And Josh Keaton also voices Electro in the PS4 game.
Oh my god, he does.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So he's been in 4 Spider-Man games. No, he's been in 5 Spider-Man games, and he's voiced Spider-Man 3 times.
What was the third?
Edge of Time and Shattered Dimensions.
Yeah, what was the third?
This game.
He was Harry in this one.
He was Harry in this one.
He was Spider-Man. He was Ultimate Spider-Man. Then he was Amazing Spider-Man. Then he was Vulture.
No, he was Electro.
Oops.
And then he voiced Spider-Man in MVC3.
Oh yeah, he did. That's right. So, just like the first one, they try to mesh other villains in the game's plot to give the game some length. Okay, whatever. It does a better job than the first movie game did. I'll give it credit where credit's due.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mesh it super well, mind you, but it tries.
You're not playing this game for its plot anyway.
No. So, on to the topic of, I'm going to talk about the graphics first. To be 100% honest with you, graphically this game has not aged that well.
No.
I don't think.
It hasn't, but I think that was like to compensate for how ambitious the game was at the time. They had to cut back on something. Because
like
I will agree that the first Raimi movie game is a lot more graphically intensive, but that's also because
it does look better, yeah.
It's not as large scale as this game is.
Well, that's the thing. The first Raimi game was a lot more focused.
Yes.
So it can put more detail. And this one, to give it credit, this is not a negative, is a lot more free and more open. but that come with being a PS2 game, that comes with some drawbacks.
Mhm.
Nowadays, you can't make that excuse, but back then, yeah, you could. Because as much as people love GTA, those games look like crap. Those games look like crap on PS2.
Oh, like Vice City.
Oh my god, fun game, but it looks like shit.
Oh, it looks terrible now.
Oh my god, yeah. But the soundtrack's not. I really don't remember it all that much, except for the pizza music.
The soundtrack is very standard. Like, there's not bad music here, but there's nothing overly memorable about it.
Like the first game had the Green Goblin music. I still remember that to this day. This one,
I think the next game has a better soundtrack. Ultimate.
oh, absolutely. Now let's talk about the gameplay. I'm gonna get the combat engine out of the way. I don't like it.
No. Even when the game was new, when I was addicted to this game, I never liked how combat worked.
It feels like a really bad version of Arkham.
Well, it's weird because they tried to implement this, like, what, multi-button combat engine that, like, the first game had, but, you know, but with a bit more free open because that's how the game is. But enemies aren't really strong enough to warrant you doing that other than just looking flashy. But then when you get to the second half of the game, not only do they introduce those mech suit guys like you talked about earlier, which half the moves you unlock are useless against them, but enemies also start blocking you, and that also nulls a lot of the combat options. So basically, you're devolving into using the Spider Sense counterattack,
which is clunky to me. Like it feels awkward.
I know you counter with the Spider Sense goes off, you counter, and then you just hit the attack button, and he does this guard break whirlwind kick thing, and then it's weird, but that's the only thing you can really use because everything else just gets blocked.
Like yeah, no, the Spider Sense in this game doesn't feel good to use, and the web powers are borderline useless.
Yeah, like like the impact web and the web gauntlets and the web shield from the previous 3 games are just gone. So they introduced this thing called the Web Rodeo, which is really jank.
It is. It absolutely is.
Because it's simple. It's like tie up a guy and then circle the control stick around and he'll rodeo him. Dude, you get about halfway through your first circle and the game will just let it go.
I
don't know how it works.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Mm-mm.
I think I've been playing this game since 2004, almost 20 years, and he doesn't get it.
I know how it's supposed to work, but I don't understand why it doesn't work.
But to be 100% honest with you, you don't play this game for the combat mechanics. You want to play a Spider-Man game with good combat mechanics, and some Spider-Man exists.
Or Web of Shadows.
Yeah, we'll get to those later.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
The web swinging, on the other hand, was revolutionary.
Oh. And honestly, I think one of the reasons why people still praise this game's swinging mechanics is because it's the only Spider-Man game that has a full momentum system.
It does, yeah.
You can get some serious speed with him while swinging in this game.
Yeah. It was the first Spider-Man game where you had to aim at a building to web swing.
Yeah. But at the cost, the rest of the traversal system is poop.
Yeah.
The web zip sucks. The wall running stinks.
Your jump feels weird.
Oh, yeah. The charge jump, yeah.
His animation while crawling up buildings is awkward.
Oh, dude.
I really think about to crap his pants every time he's crawling up buildings.
The wall run in this game is terrible.
Yeah.
Because you need momentum to use it, and if you start losing momentum, he'll start doing a U-turn down the side of the building.
Yeah, he will. He absolutely will. But the web swinging feels and looks great.
Yes.
That's the one thing people love about this game, is the web swinging. And to give it credit where credit is due, the web swinging does feel fun to use.
Mm-hmm.
As everything else I take issue with.
Yeah.
Like, as we mentioned, I don't think the wall crawling or the wall running feel really good in this game. At all.
No.
I don't. The combat system, I think, is terrible. I thought it was better than the other 3 games. The jumping looks and feels weird. The web zip is absolutely useless. But web swinging is really fun.
They fixed the web zip in Ultimate because the problem in Ultimate it canceled your momentum and forced you in the direction you web zipped. In this game, your momentum still carries.
Yeah, which is weird for a web zip. No other game does that.
Yeah, and it overrides your web zip, so it is useless unless you're trying to zip yourself in the direction you're already moving.
On top of that, I don't really like the game's mission structure. It's like, oh, you do the main side quest, I'll do the main quest, I'll do these 5,000 other things before you can progress.
Oh yeah, get 5,000 hero points, go to the shop and buy this upgrade.
Go save the kid with the balloon for the 5,000th time.
God dang, I had this one I had this one time where that mission popped up, and I went to get the balloon, and I came back down to give the balloon to the kid. As soon as I gave it to him, he did a snap back and buried himself into the ground, and it didn't give me mission complete.
Oh, I remember you telling me that. I love old Spider-Man for the balloon thing. We'll get to that in Ultimate Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, that.
The pizza missions I don't like. The pizza missions I don't like either.
Yeah, because you can't. Because if you jiggle around too much, the pizzas get damaged. And
it's also not what happened in the movie. In the movie, he just lost his pizza job. So
yeah, but so they basically want you to maneuver cleanly, but the overall mobility engine doesn't make you. It's not easy to do. Especially, man, some of those later ones are just you have to be like perfect, and honestly, that delves into another issue with this game because there's a lot of stuff to do. Specifically, these races that are insanely demanding.
Oh my god, dude! Are there unlockable costumes in this game? I don't think there are.
No.
What the hell?
Yeah, Ultimate. This is the first 3D Spider-Man game without a costume system.
Ultimate brought them back, yeah.
Yeah, Ultimate did bring them back, even though how it handled them was stupid also.
Getting the black suit was...
I mean, I got to 100% the game. You know how hard that is?
And then what's the point? You have it. What am I going to do with it? If there was a new game plus, that would be cool, but there isn't.
One thing that I do like is this game technically has a super boss.
Does it?
Yeah. Do you know that that first warehouse where you fight Shocker?
Yeah.
If you go back there, there's a thing called it's like a combat challenge where in that room it like spawns enemies and you have to beat them in like a certain time period, and if you beat it in a certain time period, you unlock the next level. It's like an escalate. When you get to the final stage, it starts off with Shocker, Rhino, and Doc Ock all loaded in the map at the same time.
Oh my god!
But then when you beat them, there's a unique boss in there, and it's Calypso.
Calypso?
Yeah, you know who Calypso is, right?
Yeah, why is he there?
She.
Why are they... Whatever. Why is she there?
And for the longest time, because I knew who Calypso was, and I didn't understand why she was in this game, while she was complaining about her ruining her husband or whatever. And then I found out that later the Xbox version of the first game had Kraven in it. I'm like,
oh shit!
That's why she's here. I just didn't know because I played the GameCube version.
Oh, dude! Holy shit! That's a deep cut.
Yeah, and I didn't know why she was there. So they put that boss in every version of the game, but only the people who had the Xbox version knew the context of the fight.
That's I mean, that's cool that they referenced that, but also, what?
Yeah, no. But the fight itself is brutal too. Like it's legitimately the hardest thing to do in the game because she's completely invincible until you find this wand somewhere in the warehouse, and when you pick it up, it basically staggers her, and you can go to her and beat her up for a little bit. But that warehouse is massive, so it's a really tricky boss fight.
So good luck, basically.
Yeah, and especially how you have to fight Shocker, Rhino, and Ock before it.
That's fucking good. That would be tough for Spider-Man. At least that version of Spider-Man. That would be tough for him.
But that is cool that they did something like that. Because no other open world Spider-Man game has a super boss in it. So
not to my knowledge, no.
No, there isn't one. So props to this game for that.
Yeah, usually the hardest boss in the game in those games is the final boss. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's neat. I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah, we've been playing this game since it came out. You know
a
lot of stuff about. I know a lot of stuff about this game.
It's a Spider-Man getting a super boss. I would never have. Wow.
Yeah, I know.
It's funny because at the time of this recording, Final Fantasy 16 comes out in like 30 minutes. There's probably a super boss in there.
It would be weird if there wasn't one.
Yeah, but to hear a Spider-Man having a super boss, that's Hey, Insomniac, you should do that. I think that'd be really neat. But for me personally, and this is probably because I didn't play the game until 2 years ago. No, a year ago. I played this after Insom Spider-Man, both Insom Spider-Mans. And I'm going to spoil something right now. Those are, I think, the two best Spider-Man games out there. Right?
Yeah, they are. To me, too. I agree.
So playing this after makes it feel like a huge step down.
Yeah, I guess if you weren't there like I was, you're not going to give this game, much leniency, because I agree that this game has definitely, its age has finally started to show, because for the longest time I thought it was still the best open world Spider-Man game next to Web of Shadows, because the Amazing Spider-Man games were jank.
But those are fun games to review. Oh boy.
When the Insomniac game came out, it really brought this and Ultimate Spider-Man, for that matter, down a handful of notches. But I can't hate it. I can't hate this game. This game was big in my middle school and high school years because, man...
See, how you feel about this game is how I feel about Sonic Adventure.
Yeah. Because my high school life was rough, as what everybody's was.
Oh, yeah. Us nerds, woo.
I always sat down in my room after I finished all my homework and everything, turned on the radio, sat down in front of my TV, and just swung around New York in this. It was therapeutic.
Oh, yeah, no, I can see why. Yeah, for sure.
And it actually made me nostalgic because I started doing that again with PS4. I would just turn on music and swing around New York in that game, and it's still therapeutic.
It really is.
It was also a little bit nostalgic, too, so it helped a lot. But, yeah, I owe this game a lot. So it's aged, and, I mean, I would still say go and play it if you've never played it before, just so you can see how it is. Because who knows, you might like it.
I mean, I will say this is better than 3, Amazing Spider-Man 1, Amazing Spider-Man 2, and Edge of Time.
I think it's better than Ultimate also. I know people love Ultimate, but I think it's a step backwards from this game.
I'm the opposite, but we'll talk about that when we get to Ultimate. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people love the shit out of Ultimate.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, it's a good game, but it's not that good.
People of it, it is crazy the amount of love that game's getting lately.
No, you should see the love Web of Shadows is getting. People are trying to debate that it's the best Spider-Man game ever made.
Well, first off, they're wrong, but
like it's if you were to remove the two Insomniac games, you'd be right. But
we'll talk about Web of Shadows when we get there, because we still have 2 games to cover before that. Because we're not covering friend or foe for this. Ain't happening. That game's garbage. But
do you like an archaic 3D arcade beat 'em up? Yes, we'll go play that.
like a 3D arcade beat 'em up, play any of the Lego games.
The Lego games have more personality, though.
Yeah, exactly my point.
But I know neither of us have played it, but I do want to talk about the PC version of this game real quick.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, before that. Did you play the portable version of this one like you did the other three?
I've loosely played the GBA version. I've played the DS version.
I didn't know there was a GBA version. I knew there was a DS version.
The GBA version is very similar to the GBA version of the first game, and I like the first game for the GBA, so... But I'm not as familiar with it. The DS version of this game is weird. Because
Is it?
it's... Man, it's been so long since I've played it, but it is... It's such a bizarre game, because it runs... It, like, tries to use touchscreen commands for, like, his zipping and everything.
Oh, wasn't it launched the same year as the DS too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But, like, the weird thing is that its combat and physics engine are just... Like, Spider-Man is so heavy in that game. And the combat, like, the reach that Spider-Man has on his punches and kicks is so short that you basically have to kiss them to hit them. So it's not a smooth game.
I don't know.
I think the GBA version of Spider-Man 2 is better.
Oh shit. But going back, I have heard horror stories of the PC version. I know nothing about it.
Have you not seen gameplay of it?
I've never looked into it. Never cared enough.
I'm gonna show you when we're done here. I'm gonna show you a video of it along with the Calypso fight, just so you can see it.
Okay.
But I knew that there was a PC version, and I thought because the previous 3 games, PC versions were exactly the same as their console counterparts, I thought it was the same case for this one. And then about 10 years ago, I stumbled across a video talking about the PC version, and what I saw was baffling.
That bad, huh?
It's not open world, first of all. It's a level-based game, but it's tank controls where you control your camera with your mouse, and there's swing points in the sky that you click on to swing. Like, there's set.
Hold on, let me stop you there. Spider-Man with tank controls?
Yes.
I hate that.
Oh, yeah. And man, I watched the full playthrough of that game, and I'm like, for people who were PC gamers at the time who saw the hype for Spider-Man 2, got that version, put it in, and saw what they were playing, they were probably furious.
How does that even happen?
Dude, I never heard anybody talk about the PC version when it was out, because I saw stuff of the GBA version. I played the DS version. I played the GameCube version. So I just assumed the PC version was the same. But
I personally played this on the PS2.
Yeah, I had this on the GameCube.
Okay.
Because that's the only console from that generation I had. How did it run on the PS2?
About as well as you'd expect. Like,
the GameCube ran smooth, but
it didn't run terribly on the PS2, but it had longer loading times, I think. But it also had the best control of the 3, is what I was told.
I don't know how.
It was probably because of the controller. I think that game was built with the PS2 controller in mind.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm a fanboy for the GameCube controller, but I can't.
I'm a sucker for the PlayStation controller. That was my first console. So.
No. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm still going to go off on a limb saying that when it comes to platforms, the GameCube controller is the best controller ever made. But that's just me.
I mean, I played Mario Sunshine. I can see your point, even though I hate that game.
Yeah.
I did a video on that earlier. Go
Yeah,
watch that.
I guess I could see the point though, because the PS2 controller has more. It has a more standard button layout. Which would probably
Yeah, the
fit the
GameCube was
game
like,
better.
here's a giant A button, and an itty bitty button.
Yeah, I guess it made sense for the GameCube though, because jump was the primary thing you needed to
Oh,
do
then
with
playing
Nintendo games.
Have you ever played Dragon Ball Z Budokai on the GameCube?
I've played. No.
Don't do it. It controls horribly with that controller.
No, man, I've played Tatsunoko versus Capcom which is a Wii game with the GameCube controller. Oh god.
Yeah, nope.
It's
I
like
tried that with the GameCube controller. I cannot do it.
It's like trying to play MVC3 with a GameCube controller. You're just asking for problems.
Yeah, for sure. Back to Spider-Man 2. I know a lot of people for years. This, I think, the first PS1 game. A lot of people were debating on which was the best Spider-Man game. Nobody debates anymore, but it's almost unanimous what the best Spider-Man game is now. But at the time, it was often debated what was the best Spider-Man game, and it was always the ones I always saw in the running were Neversoft's first one, this, and Ultimate were the three I always saw thrown around. So this game means a lot to a lot of people, and I'm just the weird minority.
I mean, perspective is everything. I think out of those three, though, this might be the better one, very slightly, with Spider-Man 2000 being second and Ultimate being third.
We'll talk about Ultimate next time.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a one. I got a lot to say about that game.
Yeah. I got Ultimate the day it came out also, but it didn't leave the same impression on me.
He was going to do it once in this video. I think that's him saying we got to close this out. So
yep.
I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and have a good one. Bye.